let's go ahead and start. We'll call the June meeting of the Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors to order. I think this is only the third electronic meeting we have had in the history. Boy, something is really feeding it back. Is that a little better?
Yeah.
Okay, I think what Laura did is maybe muted something. We'll call the meeting to order. Let the record show that all 5 of the directors are here, so we have a quorum. And I think to start the meeting, Jerry, you're going to give us a declaration of why we need an electronic meeting.
Yes, John. Would like to make a motion. I move that the Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors has determined that the nature of the declared COVID-19 virus emergency makes it impractical or unsafe for us to assemble in a single location for the purpose of transacting business statutorily required or necessary for us to continue operations and discharge our lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. I ask for a second.
Is there a second?
This is Chris. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll to take a vote. All those, when I call your name, if you're in favor of the motion, please say aye. If you're opposed to it, say nay. And I will not vote unless there is a tie. I'll start with Adria.
I say yay, Adria.
Monica. I'll come back to Monica. Jerry.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Monica.
And Monica, you're just on mute.
Well, we have 3 votes in favor anyway, so it carries. I think we're prepared to go ahead and start. It's time for us, Monica, if you can hear us.
Yes.
Time for the minutes.
Yes, I vote. I move to approve the minutes as written, and thank you.
We have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a second? And the minutes are rather lengthy this time.
I'll second. This is Adria.
This has been moved and seconded. Again, I'll call the roll. If you're in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. If you're opposed, say nay. I'll start with Adria.
Aye.
Monica.
Aye.
Jerry. Monica said aye. Jerry.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion is carried. The minutes are approved. How about the treasurer's report, Chris?
I reviewed the treasurer's report for May, and for the first time, I found a little mistake in the summary. And Heather, I don't know if you thought in my email, but you had paid and received, and it only should have been received, I think, in the summary up front. But other than that, the treasurer's report looks good, and I recommend it be filed for audit.
All right. The treasurer's report will be filed for audit with that correction. Chris, I think you're going to still be on with our Finance Committee report, if you would, please.
We had quite a bit going on with the Finance Committee this month. We had a conference call with the Virginia Retirement System folks and learned quite a bit of how that system works and how it would potentially apply to us, and are recommending that we voted on last time to have an actuarial report done by their folks that will look at how it fits and what the costs are for our employees. And Heather and Laura are working up some exact wordings and to fill out a few more details to see exactly which studies that we're like to have them do. It was an educational series of discussions, and look forward to having something that works out for everybody. Heather, Laura, do you have anything else to add on those?
I don't think so. I don't. Thank you.
Laura? Yeah, thank you, Chris. I think we're all looking to do what's best for the staff.
Yes, I do apologize. I did get out a Finance Committee report a little bit probably about an hour ago. Hopefully you all have received that. Chris, did you happen to see that in your inbox?
Yes, I did, and I went to print it out. My printer didn't work, and I we had a bunch of thunderstorms last night, and it sort of messed up my router, I guess. So I had to reset everything. So I don't have any of the PDFs up on my screen like I did yesterday afternoon. So I'm a little behind in restarting.
Okay, would you like me to help you out and go through some of the actions that were necessary that came out of our finance committee?
Yes, I would, because I don't have it up yet. I'm not restarted. That's why I'm on the phone.
Okay, no problem. Well, I apologize if I'm creating a little bit of feedback for everybody. But you should have a copy of the Finance Committee report on your screen, or you can take a look at it here in just a little bit. But we did review the discussion. We had a little bit of a debriefing from the June 17th conversation that we had with the VRS representatives to get a little bit more information regarding what it would take for the district to enroll in that program and what that means. And as Chris was sharing what some of those next steps are in order to get some additional information. We are still in the information gathering stages, and the actuarial study will be part of that information to help us make some informed decisions, even if that informed decision is to stay with our current program. So we still have some things to think through. But there was one action that came out of the VRS discussion, and it is to recognize that the district needs to clarify its benefits policy a little bit to acknowledge that participation in our current SEP, that's the Simplified Employee Pension Plan, that's our current retirement system, is actually voluntary. It's not mandatory for staff to participate, but that it is voluntary, and that we do need to document what our full-time equivalent and eligibility requirements are for participation in our retirement programs moving forward as well. So it's not really a change in policy, it's documenting what we currently do and just memorializing that. So we do have a recommended action that did come out of the Finance Committee yesterday, which is to specify in our policy document and that for the purposes of benefits coverage, full-time is considered 30 hours or more per week. And in addition, part-time is considered 20 hours per week with regular and permanent employment status. So we would just need a motion in order to amend our policy document with that language.
Chris, as chair of the Finance Committee, are you making that motion?
Yes, I am.
Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Adria.
Been moved and seconded. We'll call for the vote the same way we did in the past by calling the roll. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, say nay. Adria?
Aye.
Monica? Jerry? Chris?
Aye, Chris.
Come back to Monica. The motion has been approved. Thank you. Chris, anything else?
John, I just wanted to acknowledge, Jerry, you were on mute there. I did want to just make sure that that was an aye that you now.
Yes, this is Jerry. I did say aye.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. I'm flipping on and off myself here. We have a couple of more items just to bring to your attention, including one additional action item. The Finance Committee did review the FY 2021 grant agreements with DCR, including the admin ops and the cost share and technical assistance grant agreements and those associated policies. And we were certainly paying close attention to the deliverables that were associated with both of those grants. It's noted that we were allocated $105,183 for administrative and operational support, and that's consistent with past years. In addition, we have an allocation of $60,207 for the administration and implementation of the Virginia Agricultural Cost Share Program. The little bit of difference with this is that the allocation, that $60,000 includes $24,289 for the implementation of agricultural best management practices and $35,918 in technical assistance. So the technical assistance amounts are quite a bit different than they have been in the past. And in the past, it's been a proportional percentage of the total cost share. And this year, actually based upon a committee recommendation that was formed by the Department of Conservation and Recreation to look at developing some consistency with the allocation of technical assistance funds, there was a recommendation for the establishment of a base technical assistance allocation and then a proportional distribution of some additional funds that were available as well. And that is the reason why our technical assistance funds are substantially greater than they have been in the past. And that's very, very much appreciated. I think it goes to represent that even though we may not be able to deploy those funds or allocate our agricultural cost share funds to cooperators for a number of different reasons, it demonstrates that there is still value in the program that we have as well. Do you want to also...
Laura, on that one, it's our understanding that John had a little bit to do with getting that, so thank you.
Yes, John did participate on that committee. So thank you, John, for continuing to share that, you know, we do continue to provide significant value to that program, even if it's not demonstrated in BMPs on the ground. There's a lot of voluntary stuff that goes on because we have some resources to be able to support our rural agricultural community here. I did also want to note that if we do transfer funds from our cost share allocation, the project side of that allocation, then we do need to also provide the technical assistance fund in the same proportional amount. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. But we do currently have several projects that Willie has been working hard with those cooperators on that we hope to be able to really take advantage of these funds this year. So our recommended action is based upon our review. Everything looks good. We are already in line with many of the different training needs. And we'll continue to incorporate those as part of our annual plan of work for our team members as well. But the recommended action is to move to have Mr. Peterson sign the FY 2021 DCR grant agreement numbers 503 CSTA-21-29-GF. That's the cost share grant agreement, and 503 OPS-21-29-GF, and that's the admin ops.
Chris, as chairman of the finance committee, are you making that motion?
Yes, I am. And it's appropriate to approve and vote on both of them at the same time.
I think it is, unless somebody objects.
I have no objections. It'll make it cleaner. So I make a motion to approve the two grant agreements that Laura just numbered for fiscal year 2021.
We have a motion to approve the district operations and the ag cost share agreements. Is there a second?
This is Jerry. I would second.
It's been moved and seconded. Again, I'll call the roll. All in favor, just signify by saying aye. Those opposed, say nay. I'll start with Adria.
Aye.
Monica.
Aye.
Jerry.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion is approved. Thank you, Chris, for all your hard work. I think we're down, Adria, to the technical review committee report and whatever recommendations we have.
Yes, thanks, John. We had a technical review committee meeting last week, and we went over some of the information. Hold on one second. I'm just getting to my notes here. I had them up. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. And we had some information presented by Willie regarding the Belmont Bay Farm amended soil and water quality conservation plan. This has been a project that's been ongoing for a while now. And when we reviewed this, everyone recommended that we did not have any additional questions, and had consensus with the committee that I could make a motion for approval. So I'm going to move that we approve the amendment to the Soil and Water Conservation Plan for Belmont Bay Farm as presented in our TRC meeting last week, June 16th.
We have a motion to approve the Belmont Bay addition. Is there a second?
This is Jerry. I would second.
Or amendment, I guess I should have said. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Belmont Bay amendment. I'll again call the roll. If you're in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, say nay. I'll start with you, Adria.
Aye.
Monica.
Aye.
Jerry.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
The ayes have it again. Thank you very much. Anything else, Adria?
Yes. Additionally, we have the Ag Call Share, Virginia Ag Call Share program documents that Willie presented. These are basically information for the start of the new program year, including secondary considerations, cost estimate guidelines. In addition, any above cost guidelines with the 25% for our area worked into that cost. So we reviewed all that information. Just note that all these were reviewed, and we talked about them as with consensus that everybody approved. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the program year 2021 Virginia Agricultural Call Share documents as presented.
Do we have a second?
This is Chris, second.
Been moved by Adria, seconded by Chris, that we approve all the cost share documents. I'll again call the roll. If you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Adria?
Aye.
Monica?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Again, it's been approved. What else do we have, Adria?
Well, we're going to move to the project payment for VCAP projects. Christina Claren shared pictures of completed asphalt driveway conversions and presented a number of other things. When we had in the report, there was one person who reduced their number of square footage in their driveway and included a garden bed, and they stayed within budget as well. So with all of these projects, there are 5 projects that we will fund. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the reimbursement of VCAP projects, and I'm going to read some numbers without messing up. 21-20-2004, 21-20-20-010, 21-20-20-011, and 21-20-20-009, 20-20-20-002. So these are all projects that were completed, and now we are reimbursing their project costs. I'm making a motion for approval.
And I believe we had that in the TRC report, didn't we?
That's
It was
right.
all given to us in advance. So we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Monica, second.
Chris, I'll second.
Monica, did you second it?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve those reimbursements. I'll again call the roll, starting with Adria.
Aye.
Monica?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Once again, it's approved.
Okay.
Adria, anything else?
Yes, we have an energy application, conservation assistance program. This energy application was for St. Peter's in the Woods Church in Fairfax Station. This was an application that included appliance upgrade, lighting replacements, LED bulbs, building ceiling, weather stripping, insulation. This, of course, was reviewed by the committee for approval of this at the Office of Environment and Energy Coordination. We're just making a motion to approve the CAP energy application for St. Peter's in the Woods as presented.
So we have a motion to approve St. Peter's in the Woods as presented. Is there again a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll in the same way as we have. I'll start with Adria. If you're in favor, say aye. If you're opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
and Chris.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion is carried. What else do we have, Adria?
Okay, then, as we were closing the meeting, we also reviewed the VCAP schedule and criteria for prioritizing site visits this year, program year 2021, which begins just next week, July 1st. Both documents that we had were included at the end of the report for our consideration and approval. So we have this in our documentation, and then also was sent in the TRC report. So as with the others, we had a long discussion about this because this is bringing Chris and Monica on as new board members. This is new for them in understanding how we prioritize the treatment volume, how we identify important places, maybe also some watersheds that are in more need than others, some areas of the county, some streams, certain areas that we want to increase our diversity of outreach. So we have a better understanding of that. And it was a really great discussion. So I'm going to recommend a motion to approve the program year 2021 VCAP program schedule and site visit criteria and the site visit request form.
We have a motion to approve the VCAP site visit and program form, whatever the official title is. Is there a second?
There is Monica.
Monica, did you second again?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll, just as we have in the past. Start with you, Adria.
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
and Chris.
Aye.
It's been carried. Thank you. Is that it, Adria?
That's all I have today, Chairman.
Adria, there was one other project too.
Oh, there was? I'm sorry. It wasn't on my notes. Maybe I
That's
missed
all right.
it. I'm
I
sorry.
can introduce it if you'd like.
Go ahead, Dan.
So it was project 21-2020-032. This was the conservation landscaping project that was provisionally approved at the last board meeting pending some revisions to their budget. The objection last time, what kept it from being fully approved was that it had a pretty high cost per square foot. It was originally $9,900. The applicant has reapplied. They removed some of the more expensive plants, replaced them with some cheaper ones. And as a result, they have the same square footage of project, 396 square feet. And they've brought the price down to $7,500. So that's a $2,400 reduction. So they are looking for full approval so that it can be sent on to the state steering committee for their consideration.
Okay, I'll move to approve that project as well to the state committee.
We have a motion to send that project on to the state committee. Is there a second?
This is Chris. I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. And once again, I'll call the roll in the same way. I'll start with you, Adria.
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jerry.
Aye.
Again, the motion carried. As I recall, Dan, even though that total cost was reduced considerably, the cost share is still going to be the same. Is that right?
That's correct. Since we cost share 75% up to $3,500 for conservation landscaping, our cost share, well, the state's cost share will still be $3,500.
Dan, thank you.
Thanks.
Andrea, what else do we have from the TRC?
I'm sorry, I missed that one, Dan. I know we talked about that specifically and with the concerns of the board, so thank you for bringing that up. But I don't have anything further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
I'm really pleased that we have established the TRC. I think it's all in the course of the past year or more. So I'm, for one, appreciative. Jerry, I think you're going to talk a little bit about the status of our strategic planning.
Yes, thank you, John. I think, as everyone knows, our communications the last several months have been kind of slow. We've covered the bases, but the process of updating our strategic plan, I think things have been going on, but we're not at the point where I think we'd like to be. Nevertheless, Laura has taken the initiative to start some things. One of the things that I thought was particularly interesting was a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and T. What's the T, Laura? Threats.
Threats.
Amongst the staff, and I think it seems to me, I'd like to hear from some of the staff also. It had been a very valuable exercise to kind of look and explore, look outside the box, and see what we could be doing. The second initiative that Laura has taken is she has been preparing a stakeholder survey that would be distributed to the agencies and individuals who support our operations and people who benefit from our operations, and get feedback from them about what they would like to see in the future. We're planning for 4 years here, and so this is the point in time where that kind of input would have the most benefit. In July, coming up, Laura is going to coordinate the SWOT analysis from the board of directors. We'll get to do the same thing, and additional information will be coming out during July. Laura, let me ask you on that one. Is that something we're going to do as a group or individually? You're going to send us a form to fill out? What's your expectation?
Well, my hope is to be able to send it all out to you first, and then come together as a group to review the SWOT analysis and come up with strategies together. That has worked really well for the team. And again, it's a great way of being able to think, because we all have very different perspectives on the organization. Getting those varied perspectives is really key. So, but that's the intent, is that we'll be sending out information that you can complete independently, and then we'll come together as a group in a work session in order to go through it a little bit more.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to that. I think that will be an interesting exercise and an interesting way to start this process, or to participate in it. We're also planning a virtual roundtable with our partners to see if a joint move. You're thinking of a Webex meeting, Laura?
Yes, we're going to have to be a little creative. Unfortunately, with the COVID and the lack of being able to get together, kind of the traditional ways of being able to hold roundtables and small group discussions, we're going to have to be a little bit more creative with it. Jerry, I'm sorry. One other thing I wanted to point out is that the SWOT analysis will also, I'm encouraging our associate directors to also provide input into that as well. Many of them have been with the organization for quite some time, and again, their perspective is really important and into the process as well. Great,
I understand. An initiative that I've brought up and discussed informally so far is linking the many tasks that the district provides our clients and our partners to the cost of doing them. I think that a couple of us have been in consulting arenas where you can't overrun a project, and you can't expect one client to subsidize the operations of another. So I've proposed that we, for all the various services that we provide, the tasks that we do, we identify who the payee is, who's sponsoring that work. I think that exercise will certainly contribute to looking at how we manage our work going forward. But also provide feedback to our key staff who are running these tasks. I think most of the responsibility for the work we do is pretty well assigned amongst the staff. but I think I'd like to see them get the feedback of how much is being spent on the work that they're in charge of. And I think that'll also provide us with talking points. When we talk to our partners who sponsor our work, we'd like to be able to say, listen, you know, we did all this work for you, but you're not paying for all of it. We need you to think about increasing your contributions to the effort, but put it on an actual billable hour basis and show them the services they get for the money that they pay us, and not just, you know, how much more can you give us this year, but you know, what do you want us to do? If you can't pay for it, you know, prioritize what you don't want. So that exercise is just starting. It's got a ways to go. There'll be a lot of good discussions along the way. I hope by next meeting we'll have some updates on where these different initiatives are going, and have more opportunities for discussing the strategic plan itself. So, and with all the people on this call today, for sure, I hope we'll already have in some cases, but everyone will be involved in contributing to this strategic planning exercise. I'm looking forward to it. Laura, do you have any insights you can provide us from the work that you've already done, particularly on the SWOT analysis by staff?
You want a sneak preview? Is that what I'm hearing?
Just kind of give us.
No, I actually am really proud of the work that the staff have done. Through our regular staff meetings, we have been doing a SWOT analysis, and each of the team members did an independent SWOT analysis for three things. They did one for themselves, one for the organization, and then one for a specific program area that they're responsible for. It was a helpful way of being able to start thinking about, thinking a little more critically about some of our program areas. Many of the different strengths certainly were, there were several highlights, including many of the technical knowledge and the specific resources that we have, our unique position within the county as an advisory and non-regulatory body, our strengths and partnerships, and things like that. The strengths and weaknesses are kind of internal focus, if you will, what internally we see as being strengths and weaknesses, whereas the opportunities and threats are more of the external factors. And so the weaknesses, some of the things had to do organizationally, benefits packages, things like that. Some things we're already working on, but areas where there could be continued confidence in abilities. Some of the other things might be strengthening policies in particular ways as well. Opportunities and threats, certainly natural landscaping was an opportunity, continuation in building up the VCAP and CAP opportunities and providing financial incentives for the implementation of VNPs was seen as an opportunity, additional partnerships. Threats were things like being complacent with where we are, not taking advantage of new opportunities, not promoting the good work that we're doing so that others are informed. So those are just a few examples. The team has been working in pairs. We also did a Clifton Strength Finder as part of this overall process and professional development. And so the team members were paired based upon some of those strengths. For example, those that are strategic thinkers might be with those that are executors or influencers, but to come together and develop strategies where we can take a look at where those strengths and opportunities are and come up with some different strategies in order to be able to capitalize on both of those where weaknesses and threats, how we can overcome some of those weaknesses to avoid some of those threats as examples as well. So some good strategies that are coming out. And I think it's going to be really interesting. We as a staff are going to be getting together next week in order to review some of those strategies and refine them. We are also, I've asked the team to identify a prioritization as well. So if they're high priority, it means that they want to try to get them done soon, within the next year or two. Medium priority is within the next 4 years, and then a lower priority is 4 years and beyond, or 3 to 4 years and beyond. So those would be some things. Again, it's a great model that we'll be utilizing as well for the board as we go through these conversations too. Again, different perspectives, different priorities, and but I have a feeling we're going to find that many of the priorities are going to coincide, those high priority areas. So it's not going to be, there's going to be some work to do, and that's good. I'm really proud of the organization that we are, and even as we look back on the last 4 years, what we've accomplished during that time, VCAP is a great example of that, and what we've been able to do. Still have some work to do, but it's we're getting there. So anyway, I look forward to sharing some of the work of the staff with the board, and getting staff and the board and associates all together for these conversations.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. John, I think that covers it. Does anyone have any questions about the strategic planning process, or suggestions about steps we can take in doing this?
I'll just make one comment, Jerry. I'm anxious to go through that cost-benefit analysis that you've suggested, particularly when we start looking on the beneficiary side and are dealing with society at large that's downstream, most of whom don't even realize they're getting the benefit. It's going to be an interesting and complex discussion.
Good point. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting for all of us.
Yep, but it's worthwhile doing. Anybody else have any comments for Jerry? Thank you, Jerry. If not, even though Laura has just been on, I think it's time for the executive director's report.
So Monica was just saying that it's a little difficult to hear. I'm sorry, Monica. I'll try to speak loudly. Can you all hear me okay? I
can, and we got Monica's note.
Okay. All right. I have a few items I wanted to share with everybody. First of all, a couple of departures. A little bit of sad news is Jeff Barr, who is Roger Flint, the district conservationist out of the NRCS Warrenton office. He is departing that office and heading to an NRCS office in West Virginia, which I believe is a little bit closer to his home. So Casey Imes will be acting district conservationist for NRCS, and so she'll be with us. Jeff's last day was actually this past Friday, so I'm hoping we can send him a little well wish and send him on his way. I also wanted to recognize that our spring outreach intern, Tessa Bennett, also had her last day with us on Friday. Tessa was along for this crazy ride this spring as we transitioned from what was going to be very promising, very active, very lots of people engagement kind of spring to being more of an online and virtual experience. But I wanted to just point out a couple of things, and I might turn it over to Ashley if she has anything in addition, because Tessa worked with Ashley, and Ashley, I want to compliment her supervision of Tessa during this time and engagement. I think they made a fantastic team. But a couple of things I just wanted to mention is Tessa was involved in developing and doing some creative graphics work for our social media pages, and everything from just having a recognizing a day, World Water Day or World Oceans Day, or some other kinds of events, opportunities to just engage and bring people's attention to the work that we're doing, or bring interesting bits of information, were really impactful. And actually through her time, we were able to engage thousands of of individuals through our social media web pages. So really built up, and actually during her specific period of internship, which was mid-January through mid-June, she and Ashley, their combined efforts helped our social media sites to grow by 200 followers, roughly 200 followers. So that was a pretty significant increase in following and increase in our reach as well. Ashley and Tessa were also very much involved in pulling together a webinar series for us, getting to know you kinds of things, but also informational based webinars as well. And Tessa was involved with engaging the staff in getting different ideas and opportunities for those webinars. The Sustainable Garden Tour has been going gangbusters. As you all might have seen in an email that I sent out, we virtualized the garden tour, and there have been thousands of participants in the garden tour and this year. And I am actually really excited. I usually can get to only maybe 3 or 4 sites before the day ends. And it's been a lot of fun to see all of the different gardens that people have, and to be able to have that kind of communication with folks about their specific, the things that they're most proud of in their gardens as well. And as you know, our Sustainable Garden Tour isn't necessarily just about pretty plants. It's also about urban agriculture. This year we have a permaculture site that's in Fairfax County, but it's also about stormwater management and how people are utilizing and capturing runoff for use on their site. We have a large number of BCAP participants as well this year. And so it's really great. I'd love Ashley to talk a little bit more about that once I end here. I also wanted to note that Tessa was very much involved in the planning and preparations and promotion of a new campaign that we have regarding soil health, and it's called, okay, get ready. It's called Soil Your Undies, and it's the whole premise is to actually understand how healthy your soil is by burying cotton underwear, or a cotton t-shirt works just fine too, but you leave it in the soil for 60 days. And then once you unearth it, you have the opportunity to see just how degraded it has become. The more degraded it is, the healthier your soil is. The less degraded it is, you've got some work to do. So that's a campaign that we're kicking off this summer. Again, it's an opportunity to increase awareness about soil health. It's also an opportunity to increase awareness about different things that folks can do to improve the health of their soils as well. So Dan and Ashley and Tessa were all very involved in that and the development of that campaign, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the Grape family is going to do a little video, and it should be, again, just a really nice way of being able to engage folks and better understanding of what soil health is all about. Ashley, I hate to put you on the spot, but do you have anything else that you might like to add?
The only thing that I can really think to add is that the garden tour isn't actually over yet. One thing that's nice about the Sustainable Garden Tour being virtual is that we weren't limited to 5 hours on a Sunday afternoon, whether or not it was raining. All of the 11 homeowners who participated this year were able to find a time that worked for them. They were able to record and really spend time thinking about what they wanted to say. These are, I think, more meaningful experiences and more impactful than those that we've seen in the past. And we were able to spread it out through the entire month of June. So we did have our second to last site and our last recorded site that went out today. And all of our sites are on our webpage, which is the soil-water-conservation/sustainable-garden-tour. It's kind of a long one, but it's in my board report, and you can see all of those videos there. But our actual last garden tour is courtesy of Adria on Thursday. So on Thursday, she's going to be taking us on a lovely tour of her site. And something that I've seen throughout this whole process is that since it's still personal, even though it is virtual, people have a lot of questions and they want to know well, how did you get started in this? And what recommendations do you have? And what are some tips and tricks for this sort of thing? And Adria has been very generous in offering a live avenue on Zoom where people can ask those sorts of questions as well as see her beautiful site, which everyone is very surprised that we were able to get her on the tour because she's such a hot ticket.
Actually, this is Jerry. Can I ask you, how long will those videos be up on the website?
That's a great question. I don't know that we've planned for very long term, you know, like 3 or 4 years out. I do plan on keeping them on the website at least through the end of this calendar year. They're hosted on YouTube, so from the county side, we're not getting any issues on storage or space or anything like that. But I have heard from a lot of these homeowners that were hosted this year that they would actually like to do a live garden tour next year. They want to do one in person. And then for that purpose, having a recorded tour might discourage people from going to the sites in person. So if we do choose to do that, I'd probably take them off while we were promoting the live garden tour and then bring them back up.
Well, I'm just pleased to hear that they'll be up for at least this calendar year. That's good.
Yeah, there's been a lot of interest. We also are starting to think more about some populations that we would like to serve, but may not always have access to this sort of thing. So there are a lot of people who live within Fairfax County that don't have a car, or they may have a disability, they're unable to drive, and public transportation wouldn't take them to these sites. So they've missed out every other year on the garden tour. But in this case, with it being online, they have the same ability to view the tour as any other resident. So that's something else that's nice about the virtual tour. They'll be up there long term. So if you were sick and you couldn't view, it'll still be there. If you can't be out in the rain because you could get sick, you're an at-risk group, you can still see it from the comfort of your home, which is a really great added benefit of being virtual.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley. I also just wanted to mention that the webinar series is also being posted on our website as well. And the webinar series will also include our Green Breakfast series as well. We held our first virtual Green Breakfast back in May, and we will be holding another virtual Green Breakfast in here in just a couple of weeks. I have to remember the date. I believe it's the 11th of June. Let me tell you here in just a second. Yes, on the 11th of June. And as you might recall, back in March, we had to cancel that Green Breakfast, that in-person Green Breakfast with Jen Cole from Queen Fairfax. We're inviting her back to come and talk virtually with everyone. So we will have our July 11th Green Breakfast starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. So stay tuned for more information about that. But again, I just wanted to recognize Tessa and Ashley's efforts. It felt very disjointed and we grieved the loss of our spring. And I just wanted to say that they rebounded so incredibly well. And I'm really proud of their creativity and the efforts that they have made and engaging the rest of the team as well in helping to support our continued outreach. So kudos to them. You do have the staff reports in that were provided to you as well. So I hope you'll take a little bit of time and see some of the pictures and read through some of the other efforts that have been going on as well. I have just a few more things I wanted to mention to you. I wanted to let you know that we received notification from the Virginia Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts that one of our Fairfax County Public School students and recent graduates, Wendy Gao, received one of the $1,000 state scholarships for conservation education as well. So really excited about her recognition and that award as well. So Wendy was our local future conservation leader scholarship awardee this past spring, and so it's really sprinkles on top of delicious ice cream that she got that additional $1,000. And I know it's a very worthy investment in the future of our field.
And that's from the Educational Foundation of the State Association.
Yes. So thank you, John. I know that you also serve on that, although you probably didn't have anything to do with this. But it is.
I had absolutely nothing to do with it, even though I'm the treasurer.
Great. but it's a very generous investment. And I like to think of it in that regard, an investment in our field. I did want to let you know about our office reopening and some of the process with that. We are working with the other agencies and offices within the Heritage Building to develop a reopening strategy or providing public access back to our building. As you know, it's been closed since April. Closed to the public, I mean. It's been open to staff, but closed to the public. For the foreseeable future, we see access is going to continue to be limited. We are going to be beginning to open up to the public. However, it's going to be limited to the first floor. And any public, there's going to be no unscheduled visits. Every public visit is going to need to have an appointment associated with it so that we can escort any member of the public upstairs. So even with board members and those of you that do not have an access card, you'll need to coordinate with the team in order to be able to come up to the office. So just to be aware of that. We are going to be continuing to practice social distancing and require the use of masks in any public space here in the building. When our team members are in their individual offices, they may take their masks off, but when they're out in the hallway or out in common spaces, we do ask that they maintain those precautions. So we are very fortunate that Land Development Services has been using kind of like deck boxes, the boxes that you might have on your deck to store your pillows and things like that. They've been using those for transfer of different plan and materials. They no longer need them. So they are making a deck box available to us so that if we need to store storm drain supplies or soil test kits or anything like that in those boxes for pickup, that limits, again, the public interaction within the building. So until there is a little bit more confidence in terms of opening up the building more widely, it seems as though this is going to be the way of the foreseeable future for the Heritage Building. So again, just give us a holler if there is a need to come up and see us, or if you need anything from the office, we'll make sure that we get it to you. Because we are delaying the full opening and we are continuing to encourage staff to work from home to the extent that they can, I would like to make the request that we extend the telework stipend through July as well. And actually, well, maybe, yes, through July. And we can bring it up again for consideration. As you might recall, during our May board meeting, the board established a telework stipend because of the emergency situation. And I would like to make the recommendation and request that we extend that to July.
Would one of our directors want a motion that we extend that telework stipend through July?
This is Chris. I'll do it. I make that motion.
It's been moved by Chris. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Again, I'll call the roll. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed say nay. Monica?
Aye.
Adria?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jerry?
I was an aye, it looked like.
Motion carried.
I keep forgetting to unmute myself. Aye.
Yeah, motion carried. We saw your lips move.
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, thank you all very much again. It's very much appreciated. I have just a few more things to say. I want to just give staff a couple of little shout outs. First of all, I wanted to recognize Maria, who graduated with the Virginia Natural Resources Leadership Institute this past month in June. The Benerly program is administered by the by UVA's Institute for Environmental Negotiation. And Maria attended that program with a scholarship from the Virginia Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts as well, and the Beals Foundation funds. And so just wanted to recognize her and say congratulations again. As a big effort, and there was a lot of work that was involved in that. But we've seen some wonderful growth, and I think it sounds like it was a great experience for her.
Laura, question on that.
Mhm.
I think you have gone through that program yourself, haven't you?
Actually, I have, and has Willie.
And Willie has? Do we have
Yes.
any other staffers that are interested?
I think
That
we
might
do.
be something to consider.
Yes, yes, and currently enrollment and application period is open right now. So I would encourage all of our staff, if they can work it into their schedule, it is absolutely can be a very transformative experience, but it is absolutely a great way of being able to learn and bring out some of those natural skills that I think all of our team members have. I also wanted to recognize Heather, who completed a parliamentary procedures course with the National Association of Parliamentarians. So she is a wonderful resource if you have questions after the meeting, or if you would like a recommendation for how to make a motion or anything like that. Heather has gained some wonderful insights. She is not a certified parliamentarian. But she has again gained some really fantastic insights through that course, and I'm really happy. There was a test, an exam at the end, and she passed with flying colors, even though she said it was a little more difficult than she had anticipated. But congratulations to Heather on completion of that course. Also, I wanted to recognize that Dan Schwartz has recently completed the Erosion and Sediment Control Inspector Training course with the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality as well. So Dan has been completing those. He has taken on the Land Conservation Awards program, and he does do a lot of work with our land development site inspectors and reviewers as well. So as a professional soil scientist, he also already has the skill sets on the plan reviewer side. However, I think it's wonderful that he is taking the time to go through those trainings, and it's absolutely something I'm encouraging. I wanted to also just quickly acknowledge with our finance committee that we did review the desktop procedures for fiscal operations. While I know that there was some leniency with our grant deliverables this year, which is appreciated, those desktop procedures is just part of our process. We do review them. We do a little bit of a crosswalk with our current fiscal controls, financial controls document, and our current policies. We identified a couple of areas where we want to just memorialize some of our current policies and procedures, basically the things that we already do, but we just need to put them down on paper. So in the Finance Committee report, you're going to find that crosswalk, and we'll be looking to incorporate some of those policies over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. I did want to also just acknowledge that this came through just yesterday, we received it here in the office, the letter from Clyde Chrisman acknowledging that the Virginia Soil and Water Conservation Board has approved the fiscal year 2021 operating budget for the Lake Barcroft Watershed Improvement District. So I've already shared that information with the Board of Trustees and Davis as well, so they are well aware. Finally, I just wanted to also mention that the proposal with Arlington County for the soil compaction survey has been completed, and a purchase order has been cut by Arlington County. So we will be, Dan and Maria will be beginning that work in July and this summer. So we may have some information for July. I'll touch base with Dan and Maria on that, but we may be able to present some information at the September board meeting regarding the outcomes of that work. So exciting stuff. That is all that I have for today. We will be doing some staff assessments over the course of the next couple of weeks. I'm very proud of our team. We've accomplished a lot. It was a year of transitions, but I think we can be very proud of what we've accomplished this past year. So stay tuned with that. And that's all I have.
Anybody have any questions of Laura? If not, we'll continue. By the way, I have a question for Heather. Now that I see that she's been interested in parliamentary practice, my copy of Robert's Rules is 1999. Heather, what is the most recent copy? Because mine's probably pretty outdated.
I'm not sure what the year is, but I know they call it Robert's Rules of Order Newly Revised. And
That's what mine says too.
yeah, so I was actually going to work with Laura to get a revised copy of Robert's Rules of Order for our office that we can use as a reference. But just a note, it's also available for free online as a web-based document, so you can search for specific information that you need.
Yeah, I would think we would want a copy in the office. That's a good idea. I'm going to move on before we get to any acknowledgement, Laura, for the directors and any associates on the line to ask if they've got anything they'd like to offer. And I'll start with one thing. I sent you all a note this last week on Area 2's legislative teleconference, which usually comes up in July. Laura, do we have a date yet for that teleconference? I haven't. If I've seen it, I've forgotten it.
Actually, it may be in Debbie's report here. I want to say that the teleconference actually isn't until August.
Oh, is it August?
It's August.
The 5th. Can you hear me? It's Debbie. August 5th at 8:30 is when the conference call will be. Jim wanted to give people a little more time just because of COVID and folks not being able to get together. So he's still looking to get the comments on the 15th and hopes everybody will get them to him. But the call itself will be August the 5th at 8:30 in the morning.
Well, that gives us a little more time. I sent you all a copy of the last state association's legislative report. I gave you my ideas of the three things that I think are most important to me. We've got to remember, too, that ultimately this feeds into the state association's legislative report, which represents the priorities for all 47 districts in the Commonwealth, not just ours. So if any of you have any other ideas on priorities we should be recommending on the teleconference, why don't you please just let us know, and we'll try to put something together, share with you all, and come up with at least our Northern Virginia Conservation District's suggestions for priorities for Area 2. I'm glad it's in August. Laura, do you or any of the directors have anything else on that score?
This is Chris. It's unrelated to that, but I just looked at my Robert's Rules of Order, which is the 10th edition, copyright October 2000. But interestingly, the first copyright was 1876.
Right. And there have been a lot of changes over time.
Heather, if you get a copy, I wouldn't mind having a new copy of it. If you wanted to order a second one, I'd reimburse you for it.
Okay, sounds good.
By the way, the state association, I believe, has one certified parliamentarian and one who's probably almost certified in terms of Richard Chafin and Wilkie Chafin. All right. And any of the directors have anything else they'd like to bring up at this point?
Not I.
Not I.
Do we have any associate directors on? I didn't see anybody on the list that I recognize. Is Jim on?
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything to offer today?
I have two things to offer. First, in reference to your question on Robert's Rules of Order, the 12th edition will be published this September.
Okay. Thank you.
The only thing I have is I have, over the course of my time with the Department of Forestry, gotten a lot of calls from people who had small lots that wanted to sell timber, and citizens who were concerned that trees they had cut down not go to the landfill. And I have finally identified one operator who has done two small lot silvicultural projects here in Fairfax County. One was 4 acres, the other was 5 acres. And he is selling timber to the commercial mills. So this is something the department has been working on, is to try and identify and expand the network of people who will come onto a small lot. In both cases, these are residential lots in Clifton. and do this kind of work. So we're kind of excited to finally have somebody who's willing to come to Northern Virginia and cut timber on these smaller properties.
Jim, is
That was-
that operator interested in taking individual trees like a big oak? Or it has to
Probably not. Well, actually, yes, he would do that because he's both an arborist and a logger. So on one of these, the most recent project that he did, he actually, because he was working around the house, and that was the impetus, was the homeowner wanted to get tall trees around the house out. He actually had climbers come in and take them down the way an arborist would, but he also has the logging equipment. And he does a very good job in protecting the site and protecting water quality. The other thing is we skipped over the tree commission because we have been meeting. We will be having a meeting next, well, the 30th. I guess that's next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Via Zoom. And one of the things we're going to be taking up is the question of the board directive. Jerry, do you have a copy of the actual directive?
I don't, but I think the information that they're putting together will have the actual quote on that. So we'll have it, but I don't have it at hand.
The reason I'm asking is that apparently at the charrette, you and I volunteered to write the draft of the report to the Board of Supervisors.
Oops, we did.
So I can't find that information in my computer. And there's something I wanted to ask Laura from the TRC meeting. It sounded like you intimated that the county had or was about to pass the ordinance for the stormwater fund that would allow the county to give grants to individual homeowners.
Yes, I'm sorry, Jim. It took me a second there to refresh my memory.
I can see we're thinking about it.
Yes, so the county, actually, I'm sorry Kitty Torgerson is not on the line today, but she did send a report. She is our representative with DPWS Stormwater Planning Division. I've been working with and a few other people in regards to taking a look at that particular ordinance that would authorize the county to be able to essentially provide funding for BMP establishment on residential properties. They're thinking of a couple of different directions. We don't really have it firmed up quite yet. I would love to say it's just going to be a plug and play with VCAP, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. It's not bad. I think it's more of an expansion on what we could potentially offer through the programs that we have. But we're still in discussions with that. So I apologize if that's a little nebulous and a little vague, but we're still working on it. So
Okay.
So that's the update.
Okay, because I wanted to put that in any kind of a report on providing free trees to citizens. And one last thing, the department had been, and actually it was quite a few years ago, we started moving the workforce, and the COVID-19, everybody working at home has provided additional impetus to finish that phase. So it's not clear when or if we will be coming back to the office as a regular work spot or an assigned work spot, rather working from home. I'll have to see how that develops over time, but the latest I heard is offices will only be for appointments and printing and file storage.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope, that's it.
This is John. I may try to get the name of that arborist from you because we've got some tall trees I'm worried about. Jerry, do you have anything else from the Tree Commission?
No, I think just to follow up on Jim's comment about the report to the Board of Supervisors, Jim and I and Laura and others had gone to that tree shred back in March 12th, just before the pandemic, really got serious. It was a good exercise, and it's one of three things that will go into this report to the Board of Supervisors. One of which is comments from the two commissioners once we get a draft together. And Jim, you and I need to talk offline. I didn't realize I had volunteered to work on that report, but we'll talk about that. That's all, John.
Okay,
Jerry.
thank you.
Yes.
Jerry, I'd reached out to Brian, and apparently he's gone for the rest of the week to send the information on the charrette and the survey.
Jim, did you get the photos that were taken at the charrette with the boards? I'll send you that if you want.
Yeah, but I couldn't find any of that stuff.
I'll send that, and I'll also look for the quote from the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Okay. Yeah, if you find that, send it to me. I'm not going to be working today. I'm going to spend the rest of the day canoodling with my wife to celebrate her anniversary.
All right, good fun. So, but I'll get them to you.
Well,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you both, Jim and Jerry. I think we have both Debbie and Assad still on the phone. We'll start with Assad. Is the ERC met at all?
I am back. I'm sorry, I had to leave for a short while. I'm back.
Do you have any ERC report?
Yes, we had a meeting on June 11. I sent a brief discussion of the meeting to Laura. What was mainly, there was a approval of the possibility of voting electric voting, which was approved by the committee. And also still they are working on the amendments to PFM. There are some amendment proposed for Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is sidewalk and trails and recreation. Those amendments were approved. And then there was some comments by tree commission, which was sent in response to amendment to Chapter 12. Chapter 12 is tree conservation. And those are still under discussion. So I don't know if in my, the last meeting that ESRC had was on February 6th. And in my comments at that time, I mentioned that there are some proposal in terms of planting when there is for the registration of RPA. And I don't know if the district was able to make any comments and recommendations, but if they have not, still there is an opportunity to do that. And that's all I happened during the last meeting. I also, the email that I sent to Laura and Heather, I included the minutes of the February 6th last meeting and all the related documents as related to the amendments proposed for changes in PFM. That's all I have for the ESRC meeting.
Thank you, Assad. Does anybody have any questions for Assad? If not, Assad, I'm sure you know that any of our directors or staff or associates or partners can help you if you ever need it from us. So I'm sure you'll call us. But
Sure.
we appreciate your representing us on the ESRC. Debbie, are you still on?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can.
Just a few quick things. Again, you mentioned the Area 2 legislative. So Jim was hoping that districts will send him their legislative ideas by July the 15th. The call will be August the 5th at 8:30 in the morning. The call details will be in my July report that I send out the 1st of July. So that'll have the login and everything in it.
So he wants our recommendations by the 15th.
15th of July.
Okay.
Yes. But he's expecting folks may need a little longer, like a few days. So that's why he pushed the call back a little bit. July the 15th is when he'd like to have everything. Just a note, we did get some information yesterday that the Employees Association is planning their training at Graves Mountain Lodge, August 18th through the 20th. They're kind of playing it by ear based on, what happens with the virus and what all's going on. But at this point in time, they are planning to have that staff level training August 18th through the 20th at Graves Mountain Lodge for staff. I did want to compliment your district. I attend a lot of these meetings, so some are meeting in parking lots. It's all over the place. But the Webex system really does work nicely. I'm sorry that the state does not allow us to have webcams, but you notice that none of us from the state have webcams. Anyway, security issue. But I do think that the Webex platform is very good. And of all the platforms that I've participated in, the one that you've chosen seems to work the best. And it probably has a lot to do with your operators, kind of setting things up right and doing things right. But it is a good experience. So that's all I have. It's nice to see everybody. I'm assuming I put something in the chat box just to confirm that so long as we're in the state of emergency and the building is not open to the public, that the board will continue to meet electronically, or at least you will in July.
Yeah, I think that's right, Debbie. Anybody have any questions for Debbie? If not, Laura, do we have any other business we need to transact? Or are there any other people on that I missed?
John, I just wanted to recognize that Diane Hoffman is on the line. She's currently muted. And so I just wanted to make sure that she had the opportunity to share anything if she so desired. She'll just have to take herself off of mute.
I have nothing to share.
Hi, Diane. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Very good. Well, once again, folks, if you've got any thoughts on priorities that we'd like to suggest for Area 2 that they include on their recommendations to the State Association for legislative priorities, let me know. The one thing I think is important to all of us is the VCAP one. Obviously, the district ops one that we've put on the list almost every year. I don't think we've had an adjustment to the district ops funding for about 8 years. So that's something I know Don Wells is working on. The other one I feel strongly about is the one on dams. We're very fortunate here in that we have Fairfax County assisting us, but most of the districts aren't that fortunate. So the one on dams and dam safety is still quite important. You might look at the last list we had. I don't think Jim Gelson really wants more than 5 or 6 priorities from us. Maybe he'll have more this year, but usually that's about all that we can logically presume anybody's going to pay attention to. So let us know as quickly as you can. Anything else for any of the directors or staff? Hearing nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm having too much fun. Why quit now?
Jerry doesn't want to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been
Mrs.
moved
Adria.
and seconded. We adjourn. I'll again call the roll. Adria,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Monica, Chris.
Aye.
Thank you all for assisting us today. I appreciate it. Thank you, Debbie, for your comments. We are adjourned.
Thank you all.